65 toss power trap. That might pop wide open, Rats.
TPT podcast. I'm here with the number one Dallas Cowboys fan in the country, Frankie Badillo. How you doing, my man? We go way back. He loves his Cowboys. We can't wait to get into this Dallas Cowboys versus Buccaneers matchup. And it hits close to home for my man, Frankie. He's in that red and orange area. Frankie, what's going on, my man?
What's going on? Thanks for having me, man. I'm so happy to be here. Talk about my boys in blue.
Let's go. So tell everybody how you became a Cowboys fan.
Born and raised in Dallas. I grew up around Cowboys fans all over. My parents never really watched it. They didn't understand the game. They're Spanish-speaking household. But, you know, when you're in it, when you're around the area, you know, it's infectious.
It's like a disease.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Grow up at school. That's whenever we heard about the championships coming around. Gosh, it was awesome. You know, we're there for the 90s growing up. You know, we're there for the early 2000s. You know, we had Quincy Carter. And it was just horrible. It was horrible. But at that point, I'm like, you know what? We're going to be in it for the long haul. We're going to have some valleys, but we're going to be up in the mountains as well, man.
There you go. So who are some of your all-time favorite Cowboys?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I love Jason Witten. He was steady always, man. He was a
great
steady
blocker.
Great blocker, great tight end. Tony Romo, I wish he had the offensive line because I think we would have gone to maybe not one, but at least 2 Super Bowls with him. I always said Des caught it back in that Green Bay Packer playoff game. And I think after a while, the NFL reversed that call that he did catch it. But I think that was our best time to go to the Super Bowl and win it all.
That was a good team.
If we would have gotten that call reversed to us. But let's see. Jason Witten, Tony Romo, and of course your triplets, Aikman, Irvin, and Emmett. Yep.
There you go. So those are some of his favorite all-time Cowboys. Now let's get a little bit into this Bucs and Cowboys matchup. You're in the Tampa kind of Lakeland area here in Florida. So you're probably around a lot of Tampa fans. Some of them may be bandwagon since the Tom Brady days now. But, you know, this one hits close to home since you're in Florida like me. So what are some of your thoughts going into this matchup? Tom Brady is 7-0 versus the Cowboys. He's got their number. But what do the Cowboys need to do to change that?
I think this is Tom Brady's retirement party. You know, we're going to put him in early retirement. He's going to go ahead and just hang it up after this game. Going to probably sign a one-day deal with the Patriots and just go off and sell it to the sunset. This is it for him. He went through whatever he went through during the season, but, you know, being in Tampa Bay, Buccaneers County, you know, I hear it all the time, like, oh, we're going to get it. You know, it's Tom Brady. He's 7-0 against Cowboys. Well, you know, this is, I think, Tom's first losing season. Like I think the season-ending record, he's always been over 500. I think this season he's below. So it was one of the first ones ever in his career. So, I think he's still a good quarterback. I think he's probably better than other quarterbacks that are around there, but he just doesn't have the supporting team around him. You know, he is really missing that go-to person other than Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been so consistent for him. I mean, he's a dangerous wide receiver. But I think he's missing some tools, and not all can fall on quarterback. He needs a supporting cast around him.
Yeah, Tom Brady, I mean, he's still the, you know, probably, if he's not the most talented quarterback, he has 7 Super Bowls. He's, the quote unquote GOAT. So you can never doubt Tom Brady, but with that offensive line this year, Michael Parsons, that's a grown man. I mean, Michael Parsons is one of the better defenders I've seen in a long time. And that's saying a lot. I've seen, we've seen some really, really good guys off the edge in recent years, but I know they activated Ryan Jensen, their
this
center,
morning.
but this morning, but and the cliche is you can't, doubt Tom Brady. I get that. And he is 7-0 versus the Cowboys. And, the cliche about the Cowboys the last couple of years, even going back to the 90s, since the 90s, is, they can't win in the playoffs. They can't win. I just think it's different. This isn't San Francisco. This is the Bucs. Yes, it's Tom Brady. But let's look at a big picture. This was a losing team. This team did not have a winning record. Okay. And some of that doesn't fall on Tom Brady, of course. The blame needs to go all the way around. But when you're 45 years old, you have to have mobility to get away from the defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys. And I just don't know if Brady can do that. And I don't know if his receivers this year are going to be quick enough to get open versus Dallas defense and succeed versus Dallas defense. It's just asking a lot for this offensive line. The Cowboy, the Bucs defense is a pretty good defense too, but they have fallen off this year. So what do you think are some of the things the offensive side of the ball can do? Because we know about Michael Parsons on the defense, some of those guys, Diggs. But what does the offense need to do to get going? Because Tampa's defense at times can be good.
They do show glimmers of hope, but the Cowboys need to be balanced. They need to run the ball. We need to use Pollard, and we need to use Zeke. Zeke is a good finisher. He'll get the touchdown, where Pollard is a good open field running back. If you can get the ball running and throwing at the same time, at that point, you're stretching the field. The defense is trying to figure out where you're going to do. So if we can get that two combination going, and I feel like that's what you can start seeing in the beginning, is the Cowboys are going to try to establish that run game. So once we have it established, we can start using some of our wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb has really come out. He's
my boy from Oklahoma.
Yep. I know you're a Sooners. I was always surprised why you were a Sooners fan living over here in Florida, but you're also a Chiefs fan as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But CeeDee Lamb has been consistent for it. He's come out, especially I know we traded out Coop over there to the Browns, but we're wondering how that was going to affect that 1-2 combination. But CeeDee Lamb has stepped up a lot. Less drop balls. He's been awesome.
Yeah,
but it can't fall on one person. It has to go through several people. You have to do Zeke, CeeDee Lamb. You have to also, have Schultz as well get in there. Those quick passes that you can go throw down the middle. You have to do that. You have to do a balanced game. It's not going to be just wide receiver show. It has to be both.
And that's the thing where I think they can expose the Bucs, because early in the season when, my Chiefs played the Bucs, it wasn't an offensive passing show. Pacheco got in there and had a lot of yards. McKinnon, Clyde Edwards had a lot of yards. So the Bucs used to be a team where you could not run on the Bucs. It's pointless handing the ball off, because it's going to be a negative play where you're going to get maybe a yard or two. This year, the Bucs have given up a lot of yards on the ground. Now, I'll tell you this. Tony Pollard reminds me of a guy that used to play for the Chiefs, Jamal Charles. And that's saying a lot, because that was my guy. And Jamal, because you're a Texas fan. So every time he touches the ball, when Tony Pollard gets it, it's like he's getting 5 or 6 yards every single time. Yeah. He has the quickness. He's a nimble back, so he just fits right in between the tackles. I really like Tony Pollard. And then you have Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. So the games I see the Cowboys do very, very well against my brother's team, the Vikings, which I kind of had some fun seeing the Cowboys beat up on my brother's team. Yeah. So and look at that game. That was a big
confidence game. That was a confidence game. The record, were they undefeated, or they just had a really good record whenever we played them? And after
I think they maybe had one loss. I think it was just the Eagles.
Oh my God, that blowout was a confidence game. That was a confidence builder for us.
And that's what I'm saying. Tony Pollard went off in that game. Ezekiel Elliott went off in that game. So if they can get their run game going, I think this could be a long day for the Bucs. All right, guys, coming up, I'm going to get Frankie's takeaway from the game, his 3 players to watch out for on the Dallas Cowboys. All right, everybody, we are back with the TBT podcast. We're here with Frankie. He's going to give us some of his predictions on the NFC playoffs and some of the games that happened previously. So I don't know if you watched the Giants versus Vikings game last night. It's a little bit to do with your Cowboys because the Giants ended up winning versus the Vikes, and they're going to go up against your favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. So, you could end up having maybe a Cowboys-Eagles matchup. We had Gabe on the podcast earlier. Gabe. That could be interesting.
Man,
we have to have
Gabe.
you two guys on.
I think it's going to come up to Gabe and myself on that next one. Yeah.
Oh man. What are some of your thoughts
on the
continue.
Giants? Yeah, I'm going to tell you, Giants had a good run. They were able to make something out of a losing season from last year.
Kudos to them.
Yeah, they did good. They're executing well. Daniel Jones is coming in more into his position. I think it's going to end with the Eagles. It's going to be Eagles and Cowboys there at the next step. Eagles are pretty good. I know we faced them, but the first time we faced them, I think, with Cooper Rush, and they were talking their smack. And the next time we faced the Eagles, we faced them with Minshew, whatever, Gardner.
Yeah, so Gardner Minshew, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we were fully loaded on all our starter position. So it's going to be really good to see Cowboys and Eagles there at the NFC Championship. But
you could end up having a Cowboys-Eagles NFC Championship game, because if the Cowboys end up advancing in this game, which I think they have a really, really good shot to do, they'll go up against the Niners, and that could go either way. What is your thoughts on the Niners, how they have come along? Do you think that this is a team that can maybe make a run at the Super Bowl? What does it come down to you with the 49ers?
49ers, it's really huge on coaching. You have a system there that you can plug in quarterbacks. They went through what was it? I forget the
Lance,
Trey Lance, Garoppolo, and now you win with Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
man, it's a system that the coaching staff has in there that's able to, when you plug in somebody to succeeding there, and defense is carrying them. Defense is huge on that system. So I'm gonna be honest. San Francisco probably gives us the most fight, but on the road to championship, it's not going to be an easy road.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to be a great team at some point. Look at the Chiefs every year. They're gonna have to beat the Bengals. They're gonna have to beat the Bills. So we talked a little bit about the 49ers, and then they are a good team, because if the Dallas Cowboys can get past the Bucs here today, you're going to have a classic Cowboys versus 49ers playoff game. As much as I do, that goes back to the 90s, where that was the Super Bowl back in the 90s. Steve Young, Troy Aikman, the both teams always said that was
the miracle catch, bro. That was the miracle catch game.
So that could
be
the
49ers.
Oh, yeah. So we can end up seeing that. So talk a little bit on the AFC side. We got my Chiefs over there. We got Bengals.
What do you think about that? The Chiefs and Jaguars.
The Chiefs and Jaguars, I know that a lot of people are going to go in and kind of just write off the Jags. I'm not quite there. I think the Jags are the team that they're going to be, I feel like they're going to be down early in this game. The Chiefs are going to let up a little bit. They're going to come back, but I don't know if it comes down to this. And I always say this about the playoffs. Traditionally, it's defense wins championships. And that may have been the case every single time in the early 2000s and 90s. But I'll tell you, as much as Chiefs fans tell you, our defense is never good. But we're in the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl every year. So you have to have somewhat of a defense to make a long playoff run. But it comes down to your quarterback and coaching. We saw these last two games, Tyler Huntley, Skylar Thompson. At the end of the day, those guys are going to have to make a play. Your defense can play as well as possible. Your quarterback is going to have to make, and they were. And shout out to them. Their backups, they were put in bad positions. They had to go out there. They were both essentially third strings to backup quarterbacks. But again, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Joe Burrow had to make a play, and it comes down to Joe Burrow versus Tyler Huntley. who are you going to take in the day? You're going to take the guy can get it done. So with the Chiefs, I always say this: you got to go with what you know. For years it was they're still saying about Tom Brady. You hear it all the time around those parts is, it's Tom Brady in the playoffs. Well, so far in Patrick Mahomes' career, it's Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. He has never not been to a Super Bowl or an AFC championship. So for me, it's, people may call me a homer, but I have to go with what I know. I think they're going to be in the AFC championship, and they're going to have to go up against either a Bengals or the Bills. If it's the Bills, it's going to be in Atlanta. I'll definitely try to make it over to Atlanta to watch that. That would be awesome. So it comes down to how much Trevor Lawrence, because if Trevor Lawrence starts like he did versus the Chargers, it's game over. It's game over.
He had a jitters game, and those two first interceptions weren't completely his fault.
Yeah.
Those
one
were
of them
just
was
miscues.
Miscues.
Yeah. And so those is like, you got to build that relationship with your receivers. That's huge whenever you feel that the confidence to throw to them, especially in those tight pockets. You got to build that. So those are just miscues. Those weren't completely his fault. But for him to overcome the other two, that's mental. And I think that's also his coaching, because I did see your interview saying that his coach is not barking at him whenever he throws an interception. That's not his style of coaching. And Doug Peterson could show you, going from the Eagles whenever he took them to the Super Bowl, and now going to the Jags, where last year we had was it Urban Meyer?
Meyer was horrible. They were terrible.
And it's essentially the same, almost the same team.
Same team. They added, they added Evan Ingram and they added Charlie Kirk. But other than that, you have the same nucleus of their team. It just shows how much coaching can go. And I would have Doug Peterson as my coach of the year. When you take a team that was the worst team in the league, the first pick overall, and now they have a chance to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, that's huge. And again, they beat Justin Herbert, who's not a slouch. I just talked about how quarterbacks matter. The coaching on that side of the ball is not particularly the best with Staley, but you still had a guy like Justin Herbert over there, and they found a way to be 27 points down. I know what it's like to be up 27 points when the Chiefs played the Colts in 2013 and you blow it. It's the worst feeling in the world. So when you give belief to a team like the Jags, a good young team, anything's possible. So I think it could be a potentially a great game, Chiefs and Jags. And what's your thoughts about some of the other teams in the AFC, like the Bills and Bengals?
Bills and Bengals is probably, if that's going to be a really good matchup, that's going to be really good. I'm secretly rooting for the Bills. It's Cowboys first, and then Bills. We beat them twice in the 90s for the Super Bowl, but I think that maybe the Bills have a chip on the shoulder that they're trying to prove, and I think it's going to be Bills pulling it off.
Yeah, and the Bengals' offensive line is just beat up right now. They're out 3 offensive linemen, and their backups run. 2 of their backups left the game early last night. So if you can't protect Joe Burrow, Godspeed. Hopefully those guys come back. You don't want to see anybody down. You want to see these two teams at full strength, because this could be a potential game. And it's all on the Bills, in my opinion, because we saw how good the Bills can be. And we saw yesterday how they can just do things that they just shouldn't be doing. Running the ball on 1st and 18 when they're up. I think they even did that versus the Patriots the week before. And the Bengals, look at the Bengals. They find a way to capitalize off turnover with Tyler Huntley trying to dive into the end zone 3 yards back, which was
from his head.
Which is a dumb play call. And again, the Bengals do get a little fortunate when it just kind of just lands in Hubbard's lap and he takes the house. And that's my thing about the Bills is if they make the mistakes like they did versus the Dolphins, they're not going to be a disciplined team like the Bengals, because it kind of reminds me of the Patriots in a way. As a Chiefs fan, it would always be up, we're beating the Patriots. And then all of a sudden, you got Matt Castle or Alex Smith, they fumble the ball or something, and then they go score, and you're like, oh, well, there was the game. And you just know after that, that's what's going to happen. So I think it comes down for that. Now I'm curious, what is your final Super Bowl prediction? These are your two. You close your eyes. These are the two teams you see. If you had a bet on it, these are the two teams you're going to have in the Super Bowl.
I'm going to tell you it's going to be, of course, Cowboys. Cowboys are going to take it all the way. And then it's hard, but I say just because I haven't seen the Chiefs this season in the Super Bowl, the unknown, I feel like the Chiefs and Cowboys are going to take it. Chiefs and Cowboys.
Chiefs and Cowboys. It's the oldest rivalry in the history of America. It's Cowboys versus the Indians. It could be a good one. I would love to see Cowboys and the
that means
Chiefs.
I'm coming back. Last video. Me and you coming back.
Yes. I'll tell you this, if you come back, or if we get or if the Cowboys and Chiefs play in the Super Bowl, or if the Eagles and Cowboys match up, we'll have you and my man Gabe Cologne on here talking about the game. All right, Frankie, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. You did an awesome job, my man. Any final thoughts you want to say about your Cowboys before we get out of here versus the Bucs?
Oh, man. I am just excited that we're going to be the last thing Brady sees in his career.
He's 7-0. It's a chance to. Doesn't matter if he's going to be 1-7 versus the Cowboys. They're going to.
Records are meant to be broken.
There you go. Records are meant to be broken. You're going to be at the game. So if the game's over, you got to go over. You got to talk some smack into Brady's face before he leaves. He could end up being a Niner, so you could end up seeing him maybe again, but who knows?
He still has it, though. You're right. He still has it.
He still has a little bit. So we'll see. Thank you so much, Frankie, for being on the show. Everybody, make sure you guys check out the rest of our videos at the TPT Podcast. We will see you guys later.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media, and check out our videos each week.